Okay, you clicked a God video on the YouTubes, so I suppose you're just looking for controversy. Not sure I'll deliver, but let's find out. God is love, God is good, God is not dead, God is dope? What is God anyway? It's a free country. You can place the tag God on anything you like. You can say, to me, nature is God, or God is whatever you value most in life. I don't want to challenge your right to use words any way you want, but I do want to challenge the notion that that's a good idea. Words are tools for communication. So when you use words in ways that hinder communication, you undermine the very purpose of language. For example, if you announce that you see God every Saturday, you'll get some puzzled looks. When you explain that by God you just mean nature, and that you like to go hiking on the weekends, well, that will clear things up, but we'll wonder why you made things so unclear in the first place. So let's recognize plainly that for large portions of the earth, the word God, with a capital G, or Dios or Dieu, or any other language, refers to a very specific thing: the greatest conceivable being. Look, we're not assuming this is the only conception of God. We're not even assuming this is the best conception of God. We're only assuming that clarity is better than confusion. So unless you live in a part of the world where a different conception of God is dominant, it's best to realize that the term God typically refers to a being of absolute perfection. So what is this greatest conceivable being like? Well, a perfect being would have to be all-powerful, not just kinda powerful. So God would have to be omnipotent. But even an omnipotent God faces some puzzles. For instance, could an all-powerful being change the past? Draw a three-sided square? What about go out of existence? And then there's the old classic. Could an omnipotent being create a stone so big that it couldn't lift it? Lots of fun questions here, but I'll save them for another video. In the same way, a perfect being would have to be all-knowing, not just really knowledgeable, so God would have to be omniscient. This is philosophy, so there are puzzles here too. If God knows today that I'm going to have coffee and a bagel for breakfast tomorrow, then when tomorrow comes, how can I freely choose anything other than the bagel and coffee? God already knows what I'm having, the bagel and coffee, and I don't have the power to make an omniscient being wrong. So it looks like God's omniscience is a threat to free will. Let's stop there. We'll save that for another day too. Lastly, a perfect being would have to be all good, not just mostly good. So God would have to be omnibenevolent. But if God is all good, why is there so much pain and suffering in the world? Believe me, I'm not about to touch that one in this video, but I'd like to come back to it someday. These omni characteristics, omnipotence, omniscience, and omnibenevolence, form the core of the traditional theistic view. What is theism? It's the view of God we're discussing. The theist believes in the O3 God, affirming this being does exist. The atheist disbelieves, denying the O3 God exists. The agnostic, on the other hand, neither believes nor disbelieves. Ask an agnostic whether God exists, and you won't get a yes. But you won't get a no either. The agnostic, we might say, suspends belief on the matter. Suspension of belief might seem like a strange thing. For every claim, don't you have to either believe it or deny it? But actually no. Here's an example. There are an odd number of pine trees in Canada. Do you believe this? I hope not. That would be kind of weird. Does that mean you deny it? No, that would be strange too. You just don't take a stand on this issue. In other words, you're an agnostic about the number of pine trees in Canada. You suspend belief. What else can we say about this greatest conceivable being whose existence the atheist denies and the theist affirms? Well, aside from being tri-omni, God is non-physical. Sorry, no beard, no sandals, no toga. But also, no genitalia, no chromosomes, no hormones. So, religious traditions may refer to God as he or she, and no doubt you have your preference, but realize that we're talking about a non-physical entity. So any talk of God's being male or female will be far from straightforward. Next, God is a person. This sometimes throws people off. Didn't we just say that God is non-physical? But by person, we don't mean human being. We mean the sort of thing that is conscious, that has thoughts, intentions. In other words, God is not just a cosmic energy or a universal force or anything like that. Lastly, God is eternal or everlasting. Perhaps God is outside of time, kind of like the reader of a novel is outside the timeline of the book's plot. Or maybe God is in time, but has existed forever and will continue to exist into the endless future. Either way, time is complicated, and we'll just leave it at that for now. So that's it. God is a non-physical person with no beginning, no end, who is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good. Does God exist? Hard to say. But at least now we're clear on what it is we're asking.